Hey, it's Brian from Winter Garden Yoga, and I wanted to share something with you that Steve Maxwell shared with me in a personal email correspondence, and he also posted it as a blog on his website. And it's 10 postures we can assume to help offset the damages of sitting so much. So I'll go through these 10 positions, do the best you can with what you got, and I'll kind of talk about it as I go through each of them. So in no particular order, the first one is called the Sphinx. The Sphinx is when we lie on the ground, we lie on our stomach, and we have our forearms on the ground, and we just lift our head up this way. So if you can imagine back in the day when you saw kids reading books like this or doing their homework like this, it was just sort of a natural position to assume. I don't see this too much in the world except in Winter Garden Yoga's yoga classes. But this is also a variation that you'll find in what's called the McKenzie method for back pain relief. So the Sphinx, it's a good one. The next one is just a regular old squat. Flat-footed squat. Just right here. Pretty much anywhere other than America, you'll find people in variations of a squat. One of my clients at Winter Garden Yoga talks about how she was in the Mideast, and you would see people, they would rest in this position, they could eat lunch in this position. Kelly Starrett has a 10-minute Thai squat challenge, and it's whether or not you can assume this position and hang out for 10 minutes at a time. You can also do a variation where you're on your toes. The next one is called a hunter squat. It's sort of kind of like a half squat. If you can imagine a caveman hunter just waiting for a mastodon to come by or something, and you just hang out in this position. Half squat, kind of like half kneeling, and make sure that you alternate one from the other. Now, I was speaking to my wife about this particular position when I was a kid, and I would read comic books. I would put the comic book on the floor and I would read this way. And sometimes my wife will catch me looking at my iPad in a position like this, flipping through, I don't have comic books anymore, so just flipping through whatever website I'm on. Next is something that's called Seiza. It's a form of sitting this way. It's like Japanese formal sitting. You can do it this way, or on the top of your heels. You can do it this way, where we have your toes extended, one or the other, or both. The next is just regular old cross-legged, seated here. And just remember, when you sit cross-legged or you sit any other variation, to change the position of your legs. That'll keep your hips balanced. Another is the pike sit. Just sit up this way. Now, before we get too deep, I want to make it clear, do your best to sit up tall. If you find that you're slouchy in these positions, in particular in these ones, you can put phone books under your hips, you can put pillows under your hips. The higher you get your hips up, the less stress it can put on your low back and your knees and stuff. You might need to sit this way for a while until your hamstrings back off, that you can straighten your legs. Okay. Next is called, it's a straddle position. So this is a pike position. So straddle is when you just sit with your legs as wide as possible. Again, try to be as upright as possible, and eventually get your legs as wide as possible. You might sort through your mail this way, or sit through a TV commercial break this way. The last but not least is called a Z sit. You put your legs in the position of a Z. So when I look down, I kind of see a Z position here. The closer you get your heels to your body, the the less stress you put on your knees. One thing for sure is take your time going through these positions, and if you feel pain or tightness, stop immediately, but consider that a form of an assessment. So if you're feeling really tight in your hips, you're feeling tight in this position, that could mean you need to foam roll and stretch and mobilize your hips, feet, and ankles in order to assume this position. So these things, these positions, I should say, they can be very helpful to get you to assess what's going on in your body so that you can kind of fix mobility and tightness issues in order for you to assume these positions. And there you have it. A few options to practice to help offset the damage of sitting too much throughout your day. Begin with one of these positions and practice it till it becomes easy, then practice the next one and practice the next one, etc. You can practice on the floor, you can practice on the couch. The thing is, just practice.